Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I have a great show today. You know, we talk about it all the time on the show. As you know from watching the show, we talk about money and we talk about business funding and we talk about what it takes to build a great business. And of course, as you're building your business, whether you're a startup or a small to mid-sized company or even a large company, thinking about the way in which the money flows throughout the business is very, very important. And sometimes businesses need funding. I mean, whether they need it for inventory, whether they need it to increase their presence, whether they need to start a new division, there's a lot of reasons why companies need funding. And we like to think about funding as something that's necessary in order to sort of dominate a marketplace. So we've been able to invite a real expert on the show today. His name, of course, is Mr. John McCauley. And John has a lot of background and experience in funding businesses. And of course, if you're in this space at all, you know Preferred Funding. They're one of the biggest nationwide. We're very delighted and honored to have John on the show today. We're going to talk about business funding. And we're going to talk about what Preferred Funding does and the way in which companies reach out and the way in which the process works to get the funding you need to grow your business. So, John, welcome to the DotCom magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I mean, you've got so many years of experience. You've funded, I don't know how many millions or hundreds of millions of dollars already through the company. I'm not even sure if we're up into the billion-dollar range. But when we think about it, let's talk about the business. Before we get into it, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet. Tell us about Preferred Funding, and then we're going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, like you said, we're the nation's largest unsecured lender. We do close to 100 million a year in funding. So we're well over that billion mark that you mentioned. So we joined that club a number of years ago. But we process close to 1,400 files a year. We probably pre-qualify north of 3,500 files a year. So we deal with a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs at all stages of business. We don't have any type of industry restrictions or anything like that. So we really can work with people all across the board. And we are national, so we work in all 50 states. But yeah, we're an unsecured lender, biggest in the space. Very simple criteria, very traditional type of funding. We are bank and credit union. We're what's called institutional lending, and easy to qualify for. We're an A-paper lender, so as long as you have strong credit, and for our stated income program, as long as you have strong credit, you're good. If you want our cash program, as long as you have strong credit and income, we can get you in the door without a lot of stipulations regarding your business. So we're able to work with startups. We're able to work with any company basically from inception to they're making $5 million a year.
Yeah, I like it. You make it so easy. The testimonials are fantastic. You have an ease of underwriting, which we like very much, John. When we talk about funding and we talk about businesses needing money, what are some of the main reasons why companies reach out to you and they say, hey, John, we've heard about what you're doing at Preferred. We need a little help. We're going to do something with the business. What are some of the reasons why people need this funding from your company?
Yeah, that's a tough question for us because it's really all over the place. I would say number one reason is startup capital. And then we dive a lot into growth capital. So, but it's all over the place. I mean, inventory, payroll, startup capital, acquisition capital. We got real estate investors purchasing their first property, their third property, their 10th property. It's really all over the place. We deal with anybody from a franchisee that's a retired individual buying into their first franchise and they don't want to dip into their Roth, or they don't want to take equity out of their home and they want to use other people's money. We deal with anybody from that to a manufacturer that has a PO that came in that he can't fulfill, and we step into that role. So it's genuinely all over the map. Our real what we're really looking for is a business owner who has strong credit. So as far as who comes to us, it's everybody. It's everybody.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's so many needs out there. I mean, you mentioned the franchise opportunity. A lot of people, even older people that maybe are looking for a second or third evolution of their entrepreneurial life, they find a franchise that they like. Maybe they reach out to you to help fund it, and they go to work every day. And again, they're back at it, every day with the franchise working. And from the perspective of the time management of money, it makes sense to go, John, to your company, take a look at that, maybe secure some funding, open up the franchise. And then, of course, the rest will be history for some of these franchise owners in a great way. Now, you have a very interesting underwriting opportunity because you're known in the industry for this ease of underwriting. Let's talk about that. What happens when somebody reaches out to you? How do they submit what they need to submit? What do they submit to get that either pre-approval or approval?
Yeah, good question. So we have these conversations on a daily basis. And what I always tell entrepreneurs, I've been saying this for 13 years, is if you have strong credit and you're starting a business, leverage it. Leverage it, because put the risk on the bank. Instead of putting the risk on yourself, you're starting a new business. It's scary already. You're already putting up a big investment, I'm sure, of your own personal money and time and energy and all that good stuff. But rather than depleting your total savings, rather than taking equity out of your home and taking that risk, use other people's money if it's available to you. And by other people, obviously, I mean institutions. So I have been telling entrepreneurs that for years. And obviously, fortunately for us, lots of entrepreneurs take that route. And so our process is very simple. If they have 700 and above FICO scores, we are 99% of the time able to pre-qualify them. And then if they also have 50,000 or more in personal income the past 2 years, we're able to pre-qualify them for an even better program, which is our cash option. So we have a stated income program, which is simply just, if you have 700 and above FICO scores, you're qualified. And then we have our cash program, which is if you have 700 and above FICO scores and you have 50,000 or more in personal income the past 2 years, the gates open to a whole nother program that's much more lenient. It's cash deposited into your account. Cash is king, obviously. So we have that option. It's very simple criteria, very short process, 7 to 10 days of processing, cash in their account or in their possession, and no restriction on use. So really, once they have that cash, it's all theirs to do with as they please.
Yeah, I love it. And what are the payment terms like? Is it a monthly payback? Does it get pulled out of their credit card receipts? How do they pay back the money, John, that you provide the lending for?
Good question. Yeah, everything's monthly. We do traditional funding. So very traditional terms. It's essentially a signature loan. So they're going to have a monthly payment. It's going to be fully amortized. So what that means is it's the same structure as like your car or your house payment. When you make your last payment, it's your last payment. Okay, very easy to calculate. And then term-wise, it's either going to be 5 or 7 years. It's going to be one or the other, monthly payment, low interest rates. Our rates are, I'd have to give you a wide range because we don't know who's going to watch this, but I'd say somewhere between like 7 to 15% is fair, with most clients falling between like 10 to 12. So prime's a little high right now. We used to advertise 7 to 10%, but our economy has decided to go crazy. So rates are a little high.
Yeah. And it's interesting, John, because as entrepreneurs watching this show, when we start creating something new or we have a need in the business, entrepreneurs are great at investing in themselves. And if they can borrow somebody else's money, OPM, and find a rate that makes sense, and then take that capital and put it into play, we call it put it into play, and earn a higher rate of return than what the loan is all about, that makes sound financial sense, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, if you can leverage the hard work that you've put in for years to create this credit scenario for yourself, why would you not leverage that? Don't simply leverage that to get, furniture store cards or a good interest rate on your car, use it to build your business. Use it to build something that's going to bring you a return, that's going to yield on your investment. I want business owners to understand that our economy is a game that can be played to your advantage. And if you build your credit, you can leverage that to turn it into income in your business without really you're mitigating your risk into the bank. Let the bank take the risk, because what they're offering you is unsecured. And who knows if that's even going to be around forever. We've been in a very, very good economy for a very long time. And if they're giving out money with almost no recourse, take it, build your business, ramp up your profits, pay it back. If you got to pay an 8 or 9% interest rate to do that, that's a great deal in comparison to having to leverage your home or deplete your savings, or even worse. I see people a lot, especially in the franchise space. I see people often liquidate their Roth IRA or liquidate some other form of their retirement in order to build a business. And it's a good route to go. It's just terrifying from a business perspective, because you just never know what can happen,
Yeah, that makes sense, John. Of course, you have a great team. And I want to talk about the team with you, because, no great entrepreneur is a solo entrepreneur. Everybody surrounds themselves with people that help them get from point A to B or A to Z or get on the fast path. And you have a great team, and we've got to meet some of the team. Even prior to the interview, you had somebody that was assisting and making sure that things were right for the interview. Let's talk about your team. How important at your company is building up a great team to be able to provide that great sort of customer and client relationship that you've become known for at Preferred?
Yes, this is the differentiating factor in what we do. And I'm really big on this. Our ethos is literally white glove treatment. We've found a way to marry the aspects of funding, which is a very transactional business by nature, with the 5-star customer service relationship. So we've put those two things together, and we have literally a culture in our office that is unmatched. We have zero turnover. We have the same faces here from day one, and everybody loves each other. We all hang out both personally and at the office. We can never get enough of each other. And I think that that's very important to mention, because culture in this world is everything. And if you have a business that is based on culture and based on the people first, and the people that are working here are happy, they're going to take care of your customers, and they're going to make sure everybody is getting the same visual of what our ethos is on a daily basis. So what's important for us is the details, and that every client that comes to us literally feels inclined to leave us a review, because they've had such a good experience. Everything's been so transparent. Everything's been articulated so well to them that the number one thing that we train on when we hire people is, listen, people are coming to us and they're very proficient at their business, but they're not proficient at funding, right? So when people come to us, it's our job to be super painfully meticulous with the way that we explain things to people, so that they feel very comfortable in this space, because this is not something they do on a daily basis. And we want them to enjoy the process and understand that this is a monumental time in their business where they're going to get funding to take them to the next level. And we're happy to be a part of that. And I think that's what really set us apart from every company in the industry, and really took us from beginning stages where we were, which we were very early on in this space, which we're very grateful for, to now we get to sit on top of the throne and really enjoy the fruits of our labor and understand that culture wins. And we created a culture that is unmatched,
Yeah,
So,
I like that.
Our team's amazing. The people we have here are amazing. Anybody who funds with us is in amazing hands, no matter who you have in our office. So,
Yeah, I love it. And of course, you mentioned the word meticulous, and that's fantastic. And when people reach out to you, John, they get you or a member of your team, and you start working meticulously with your potential clients, do you give them options? In other words, is it, hey, we've got this, we've got that, we've got a couple different options for you, or more than one option for you? Do you try and give different options to your client, or when you run that sort of pre-qual, does one option only come out for the customer?
Yeah. So within the unsecured space, we have two options. So we have business lines of credit, which is our credit option. And then we have term loans, which is our cash option. So one's revolving. That's the business lines of credit. There's no term. You're just borrow, pay back, borrow, pay back. Just a traditional line of credit. And then our cash option is that 5 to 7 year term loan we went over. So you do have two options. We don't have it structured where we give them those options up front. We can go over it up front with them. What we typically do is a client comes to us at the stage of pre-qualification, and we say, after reviewing your credit report and your tax returns, here's what you qualify for. And if they qualify for both, we say, here's both options. Here's how much you qualify for within both options. And then we let them decide. We talk them through both. We say, here's the details of this one. Here's the details of this one. You can do both. If you want to do both and really maximize how much funding you get, you can get the line of credit, you can get the cash and maximize what you get. Or you could do one or the other, whatever fits your business better. That's what we're here for. So we talk them through it, and they make a decision, and they fill out a DocuSign, and it's just a very hands-on process. We make sure that the client is walked through every step of the process. I
love it. Very streamlined, very seamless. We like that in business, of course, John. And how long does the process take? I mean, by the time they reach out, by the time they fill out your form on your website, how long does that process typically take for the client to start learning about the options and also get the funding?
So it's a 7 to 10 day process. So the client comes to us usually pre-educated. And the reason for that is we're almost 100% referral based. We obviously, direct clients come to us through word of mouth, like they heard about us from the internet or whatever the case may be. But those are actually few and far between in comparison to the amount of clients that come to us from what we call affiliates all over the country. So we have referral partners who we actually pay a commission to fund their deals with us. And we have thousands of those all over the country. So usually those guys are so well trained by our staff that they know the answers to 99.9% of the questions. So by the time a client gets to us, they're ready to go. They know the deal. And then we just jump in and answer any ancillary questions and really, ramp them up, get the pre-qualification rolling and do the fun part of it.
I love it. For the people that maybe have a good track record with their clients and maybe they have an ancillary service, are you still looking for affiliates, or are the affiliates sort of topped off at Preferred right now?
No, absolutely. We are always looking for affiliates. That's the lifeblood of our business. I mean, we scour the country, and that's why, we're in such a good position as far as status in the industry, because everyone in this office has a very large roster of affiliates that they work with on a daily basis, that they take care of, that they train, that they over communicate with. And these are people that they have their own brand, they have their own business model, they do their thing, and they just happen to work with business owners, and they want an extra source to be able to use for a different product. Maybe they're a CPA, right? And they work with business owners on a daily basis, and they do their taxes and their finances, and they know their clients inside and out, right? So when a client comes to them and they know that client needs funding, we are an option. So they want a trusted source where they can send a client. They don't have to worry about whether the client's going to be taken care of or not. We're going to over communicate. We're going to take care of that client with white glove treatment, get the client funded, and then we're going to pay the CPA for sending the client to us. So in the CPA's eyes, it's a win-win no matter what. Their client gets taken care of. It doesn't interfere with their business model, most importantly, and they're getting paid simply for referring the client. So
yeah, it's fantastic. I can think of 100 businesses that would be great because they have clients, like you mentioned, the CPAs, the bookkeepers, anybody that's working with companies that has a nice roster of companies. if those companies, of course, need some funding, why not have those people direct them to your company, and then you take care of the end client and then take care of the affiliate? It makes all the sense in the world. Now, before I let you go, John, we have to talk about entrepreneurship. I mean, you've been through it. You've seen it all. You were one of the early adopters and the early movers in the space, you and your team, of course. So let's talk to the younger entrepreneurs that are maybe having a tough time in business. Maybe they're hitting a wall. Maybe they're freezing in the frame a little bit. What kind of advice can you give to the younger entrepreneurs, John, that are maybe having a tough time in their business about how to keep on pushing, and get through that wall and keep on going?
I can tell you this, Andy. I have probably an unpopular opinion on being an entrepreneur in general. I hit every roadblock you could possibly hit. I mean, every hurdle that you read about in books, that you see in movies, I hit them all. I hit them all head on. And I think every successful entrepreneur has hit them at some point. And, you just go through the highs and lows. And one thing I think that is the difference maker between people who kind of get to the end of the rainbow and people who don't is work ethic, man. And I think that the number one mistake I see entrepreneurs making, especially in today's day and age, is putting the cart before the horse. Trying to find balance in your life before it's earned. And the number one thing I would tell entrepreneurs is work like a dog in the beginning stages. Don't come up for breath until your life has foundationally changed. And I just see, especially in today's day and age, I see a lot of people patting themselves on the back too early, way too early. Wait years, man. Put in the work for years and don't look for any recognition, especially from yourself, until you start getting it from other people, until people start saying, whoa, what are you doing? You want that question to go from that skeptical, what are you even doing, to the, whoa, what are you doing? Because there's a subtle difference there. And that difference is the difference between your work paying off and being visible and your work not yet being visible. You know what I'm saying? So number one piece of advice I would give to entrepreneurs is put your head down, work years. Don't look for recognition. Don't pat yourself on the back, and don't come up for breath, most importantly, until other people start noticing your success. And then, okay, well, maybe I can try to find a little balance in life. I didn't find balance for 10 years, so it was 16, 18-hour days, no rest, reading a book a week, waking up at 4 a.m, going to bed at midnight, and just devouring information and finding people smarter than me and more wealthy than me to latch to, and just a lot of absorbing knowledge, a lot of hard work, a lot of dry eyes from staring at a computer for too long. And it all paid off, which I'm very fortunate. But entrepreneurship it's not easy. It's not for everybody. And, when you do see other entrepreneurs that are in a really good place in their journey, it's kind of like that unsaid, like, wow, like I see you, you know what I mean? So, just hard work, dedication, long hours, no rest. Unpopular.
I love it. For the people watching the show, rewind what John just said. He basically gave you a Harvard MBA right there. I mean, fantastic. And of course, that could be the name of your TED Talk. Forget balance. I mean, I love it. You're exactly right. At the beginning, when you're grinding, balance. I mean, get going, rock it hard, keep on pushing, and then don't look up. And of course, you've done that so good at Preferred Funding, you and your team. This has been a great interview. I already know I want to bring you back on the show. I want to talk about entrepreneurship with John. So, John, thank you so much for cutting some time out today. This has been awesome. And keep on pushing and keep on leading the pack at Preferred Funding. I want to thank you so much for coming on the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Of course, Andy, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.